Mr. Ena and Mr. Ueshima and Mr. Brick. Great. Come on down.
Light.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I have a few, but if you have some in the audience, I'd sure love to hear from you. Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you, each of you, for your duties to your nation, that you've survived, and that you're sharing your story. I think it's phenomenal. And I'm very interested in the David Earhart collection that you're drawing your images from. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that resource.
You had a question about the David Earhart collection.
I first saw a David Earhart image. He has an extensive collection. He really has spent his life going around Japanese secondhand bookstores, and flea markets, purchasing, for instance, a newspaper from every day of the war. And I saw, actually through my sister, a lot of my family members from across the United States are here joining me today, but my sister helped me to see you remember the image of the little girl that says all citizens now kamikaze?
Yes.
And she's wearing a headband.
Yes.
That was on the cover of I think his collection had been displayed at the University of Wyoming, and I was so struck by it that then I looked up and we got about 10 images from him. And actually, Rutherford Press has just published a book by him, because the whole theory of his book is that the whole kamikaze strategy was meant to induce the whole country to die defending the nation. So that's what we got 10 images from him.
Thank you.
I was curious. I mean, you talked about your rebellion, and you knew that you didn't want to die at the end, and the pilots, when they got to the island, when they escaped. But I wonder if there was ever any movement, or if it was suppressed, that any of these pilots rebelled and said they didn't want to die, they didn't want to do this.
There was nothing like that.
Whoa.
How difficult was it to get cooperation for your interviews, particularly from the pilots?
I actually was very lucky. I went to a kamikaze reunion in October of 2005, which is where I met Ena-san and Ueshima-san, and said that I basically approached them as a Japanese American, my uncle, not knowing anything about my uncle, and that I, growing up in the United States, had very one-dimensional stereotypical images of who these men were, and that was as a suicidal fanatic, as most of us who grew up here believe them to be, and I wanted to help change that. And with that, they really opened up, and we spent days together talking. They took me everywhere. A lot of it is, unfortunately, is in my drawer and not in the film. And hopefully, maybe someday, whether it's DVD extras or whatever, that I can resurrect some of this footage, because it's pretty incredible, the places that they took me. I just want to thank also Joe Wu, who's here, who is our art director, and did phenomenal jobs with all the graphics and the animation and stuff. Thank you.
You got a question over here.
Have the Drexel survivors and their counterparts on the other side, have you ever had a reunion prior to this?
Wait, I'm sorry, what does
Have the
that mean, a reunion?
Drexlers have a reunion?
No, have they ever gotten together with their Japanese counterparts prior to this?
The question is, did you guys ever meet the former kamikaze before this?
As far as I know, this hasn't been done before. Face-to-face meeting with the ex-kamikazes or any of the others. there have been an instance where the captain that was the commander of the submarine that sank the Indianapolis, he had attended reunion of the Indianapolis. So there was forgiveness in that instance for that, but how many more, I don't know about, but I don't think there was very many. But as far as I know, this was the first meeting.
I'm sorry, there's a chunk missing here. What happened is that when this film was finished, we showed it to Gene and a few other Drexler survivors at their reunion, and two of them said, "Can we meet the kamikaze before we die?" So we rushed them onto a plane and took them to Japan last summer. And Gene had the privilege of meeting and spending some time with, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Hamazono, can you talk to us a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah. He was wondering who this Corsair pilot was that let him off the hook.
That's Mr. Hamazono, right?
Yeah, Mr. Hamazono, and we just got some information that it's possible that we have found the pilot that let him off the hook. And there's more to this story that meets the eye. But when I get back home, I'm going to do more research and see if I can find some answers, and it'll be in our files anyway. Any interest, you can contact us through the internet. We'll let you know what happened. But it's an interesting story.
Did any of the young kamikaze pilots leave any diaries or memoirs or letters or anything behind them? Do you have anything written by them?
日記を残したのはですね、やはり学徒兵の、者たちはやはり文章で記録を残すということを、当時習慣づけられておりましたので、かなり日記が残っております。その日記を私うろ覚えで間違いがあるかもしれませんけども、日記の内容を申し上げます。この男は上島君、私と同期の林一三君という、京都大学を2年で徴兵で海軍に入りましてパイロットになった男でございます。
Yes, many of the, it was the university students who, as you saw, got drafted to be officers and then kamikaze. They were about 20% of the kamikaze corps. They were the ones who had the custom of leaving their thoughts on paper. So they were the ones who typically left diaries. And he's just going to tell you from memory the diary entry of one young kamikaze pilot named Hayashi.
彼はお母さんもクリスチャンでした。彼もクリスチャンです。彼のお母さんに残しましたラストワーズ to his mother。私の家